Part 2. Please forgive me if I forget something or get items placed in the wrong order. There were so many things happening I could never do justice to them all, but I will try to capture the spirit of the afternoon. The parking lot is beginning to fill up as I arrive. Good sign. I like that. I carry in my box of calendars and box of pens and claim a small corner next to table 1, where these will be easily accessible to me. I barely get this done, and I'm being greeted by smiling faces and warm welcomes. I cannot believe how many people already know me without me knowing who they are. There is a very warm feeling flowing through my heart. I just know this is going to be a fantastic afternoon for the organizing committee. No, this is going to be a fantastic afternoon for St. Paul. The lady I chatted with briefly yesterday comes up with a warm welcome again and tells me this is her daughter. I remember, yes, the one who is the principal of Reset, and faced with all the challenges of keeping everything as normal and stable and structured as possible, given the circumstances. I put my hand on her shoulder as I commend her on performing a very difficult task. I extend my best wishes to her and all her staff in the difficult months ahead, and ask if she'd like a few calendars for her school. Yup. I get some motivation calendars and hand them over. So again, without exchanging names, as it seems that we simply must know each other, and names are merely a formality, we all move on, checking out all the goodies on each table. As I make my way around the display tables, I am amazed at the generosity of the many local businesses and individuals from St. Paul. Yes, there are a few other local towns identified, but this is truly a Made in St. Paul venture, and I am so proud to be present in this room today. Throughout the afternoon, I get to meet several of Sherry and Thomas Wolitzki's families. To be honest, the names were coming at me so quickly that I was unable to remember them. I remember the faces, kind and caring, but the names escape me. Even now, as I look at Megan's Celebration of Life brochure, I see many names, but would be hard-pressed to remember which names went with which faces. This is a bit embarrassing to me, but it is the truth. Who else do I meet during the afternoon? Colette Zahar and her lovely daughter, Cassidy. Cassidy thanks me for the calendar and pen I mailed to her last month. How do I know Cassidy and her mom, who live in Vilna? Well, it's like this. After I took part in the CFCW radio auction on November 7th, I have had a steady stream of friend requests from northeastern Alberta. In a way, it's sort of a homecoming for me, as my mom and her family were homesteaders there back in the late 20s, just a bit north of St. Paul, in a small settlement called Flat Lake. Cassidy and I have a bit of fun throughout the afternoon. I insist on buying her a We Heal Together blue t-shirt. And it is not long after that she performs on stage, solo, with her guitar. I love her voice. I record 2 of her selections and decide to upload the second one to my Facebook, as this song has a heartfelt message to all the people present. Spread a little love around. What a powerful message. After Cassidy completes her presentation on stage, she shows up at my side with an autographed copy of her CD, This Is Me. If you don't already have a copy, you may want to buy it. She has the potential to be a true up-and-comer. I bump into Cassidy a few times more during the afternoon and ask her if there is anything on the silent auction tables that she might like. Takes a fair bit of persuasion, but I finally get her to show me an item she really likes. A sterling silver teardrop pendant embedded with tiny chips. I tell her to up the bid, and I'll cover it if she wins the bidding on this item. I guess she keeps a close eye on this item and is the highest bidder until just a few seconds before that table is closed. Someone ups the bid by $1, and by the time she finds me and we get back, bidding is closed. Shucks a-mighty. Oh well, that's life. She takes it like a real trooper. We did try. All through the afternoon, there seems to be people coming up and saying hi. Either that or Thomas is introducing me to various people as they show up at the rec center. I am truly honored when Thomas asks me to follow him, and he introduces me to Maddie's dad, Paul. Maddie was one of the girls critically injured, and she has a long, tough road ahead of her. But I am confident that the love of her family and community will provide a solid base for healing. As Paul is thanking me for all that I am doing, I feel so inadequate and just wish that I could do more. Later on, both Thomas and Paul make the most difficult speeches they will ever have to make in their lives, as they thank everyone for their assistance, love, and support. From the moment the accident happened, right up to the present, and yes, including any future support and assistance. There are media present. I see cameras rolling and committee members being interviewed, but by the time the live auction commences around 2:30, I don't see them anymore. Unfortunate, because this is when the room becomes electric with anticipation. Every chair is occupied, and there are many people standing around the perimeter and towards the back. I choose to remain standing, as that gives me a bit of mobility, something I like during an auction. Picking my position depending on who is bidding and how frequently. I can keep an eye on those most active. This is truly a time of great fun. I cannot possibly recall all of the excitement of the live auction, so I will pick just a few highlights, for me anyhow. You probably are aware that I donated 3 NHL autographed and framed jerseys. Jerome Iginla, captain of the Flames, team autographed. Jean Beliveau, captain of the Montreal Canadiens. This jersey is from his final year of playing, 1971, the year he captained his Canadiens to their 10th Stanley Cup. And finally, a Dwayne Rollison Oiler jersey from 2006, the big year they went all the way to the 7th game of the Stanley Cup Finals and lost. Dwayne was their goalie, and some members of the team signed this jersey, but not all the signatures were visible on the front of the jersey. 2006 was certainly a year of hope and wonderful team spirit, when many of the players performed at a level which seemed greater than the 100%. It is the year that the fans sang "O Canada" at the top of their lungs, led by Paul Loriot. The community spirit was greater than any witnessed during the history of the NHL. My friends, that same community spirit was evident in the St. Paul Rec Center on Sunday afternoon. I had a lot of fun bidding on several items, but I have preset limits where I will quit. So I was successful in getting only one item during the afternoon, my Rollison Oilers jersey. As soon as I finished the paperwork with Colette, I walked straight to Thomas and asked if he had room to display this jersey in his home. He replied, "Yes, I think we can find room for it." With that acceptance, his sister-in-law burst into tears. I went over to comfort Donna with a hug, and she told me that she'd never seen that kind of generosity before. Bloody near made me break out in tears. Our auctioneer, with a surname of Jubenville, did a marvelous job of getting the crowd up for this fundraiser. He really had us all eating out of the palm of his hand with jokes, taunts, teases, and terrible pronunciation of every Ukrainian name, whether it be a donor or a buyer. So much laughter, but all in good fun. I don't remember which item brought in the most money, but the guitar autographed by a member of Nickelback brought in somewhere around $3,000 plus. The pink guitar signed by Justin Bieber with 3 hearts as part of the signature sold for $6,500 plus. The WestJet tickets for 2 to anywhere in WestJet's world went to one of the 3 girls' grandpas for $5,000, and he immediately turned the tickets back in for re-auction, and they sold for another $3,000 plus. The item which created the most laughter, the most energy, the most lively bidding was a quilt made by one of the babas of one of the girls in the grade 6 class. I got involved in the bidding on this one, stopped at $900, and I believe it sold for around $1,200. That person immediately put it back up for re-auction. Our auctioneer knew I would be good to start over, so he looked at me, and I started him with 5 fingers. Bidding went quickly for 500 to 900, where I quit and others took over, and it sold for 1,000 plus. That buyer immediately turned it back in for re-auction, and the auctioneer looked at me. I showed him 5 fingers. It quickly went to 900, where I quit, and it sold again for 1,000 plus. That person turned it back in, and they said that the money this time would go to the grade 6 class, who was most affected by the accident. Auctioneer looked at me again, 5 fingers again, and it sold for just over 1,000 plus. Again, same thing, 5 fingers and sold for just over 1,000 plus. Once more, 5 fingers, and again just over 1,000. So now the grade 6 class has over $3,000 for their own use, maybe a field trip. Once more, and the quilt followed true to form, so the one quilt brought in over $6,000. There was so much laughter, so much community spirit, so much love in that room, everyone pulling together like a team for their 3 girls and their families. My friends, the live auction brought in over $53,000. Amazing. Good. It looks like I'll be able to get away by about 4 p.m. and could be home in Knighton by 9 p.m. That is, until Thomas asked if I would like to join the family for pizza in his home. Didn't hesitate for 1 second. Of course, I'd be honored. Now I head for the pay-up table and finally get to meet the other committee members of the Hat for Healing campaign. Lisa Martin, Renee Robinson, Leah Burton, and Pamela Bond. By the time I paid my bills, oh yeah, I also bought a Helly Hansen safety jacket for my nightly walks. My neighbor Brian Dixon suggested I have at least 1 strip of reflector on my nightly walking gear. Now I have several. It was pushing 5 p.m. I had already loaded the Oilers jersey into my car trunk and had gone back to pay for the jacket. When I arrived at Thomas and Sherry's home, there were several cars and pickups parked near their house. I carried the jersey into the house, hadn't even set it down, and Sherry and Crystal, Sherry's sister, were already checking it over. You see, Crystal's husband's cousin is Kyle Brodziak. 2006 was Kyle's rookie year with the Oilers, and they were checking to see if they could find Kyle's signature on the jersey. The glass was cold, so of course it frosted up as soon as I brought it into the house, and the girls were making a list and checking it twice to see if they could find Kyle's signature. Disappointment. Maybe it's on the back, or maybe he didn't sign. But I just know that that jersey, which I bought in an NHL online auction about 5 years ago, was destined to hang in Sherry and Thomas Walitsky's home. So with many relatives in town to support Thomas and Sherry during this monumental fundraiser, Thomas walked in with an armload of pizzas, almost as though he was carrying a huge armload of wood to keep the fire going all night in the wood stove. I must say that the warmth and the love I witnessed in their home on Sunday night reassured me that although they had all suffered a terrible blow on October 25th, that together they will all provide the love and support necessary for Thomas, Sherry, and Megan's little sister Kaylee to make it together. On Friday, December 7th, I chatted with Stella Stevens on CFCW and promised her that I would let her know how the fundraiser went on Sunday. So, Stella Stevens, CFCW, here is my report. To the fundraising committee and to all the people of St. Paul, all I can say is, job well done.